What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today I want to talk about the rise and fall of gaming magazines and now gaming websites. Last night I was at a party and a friend of mine named Aaron walked up and said, "I've been watching a lot of your videos lately and they're really good, but it kind of makes me not be able to watch stuff like IGN. It seems like their content is just so unfocused. When I subscribe to them, I'm hit with hundreds of videos a week and they have no real rhyme or reason. You can get an IT review one day and then a Final Fantasy review the next. You can't really even predict the content because it's just so all over the place." Well, that really intrigued me because I'm somebody who's grown up reading all sorts of gaming magazines and now following the rise and fall of a lot of these sites. Like, in the last year, we've seen basically the Escapist die, we saw the last remnants of 1UP completely fall apart, and even now Game Trailers is completely eradicated. These teams of people who, on paper, are actually extremely talented are going out of business at an incredible rate. But why is this? I think it actually comes down to three big things: lack of pay, lack of focus, and lack of motivation. Now let me break those three down for you. Number one, most of these websites are in fact owned by big conglomerates. Investment companies and a lot of times TV stations will run stuff like Gamespot. So because of it, if you're an employee there, they're just looking for you to make something that's as easily consumable as possible, and hopefully not pay you very much for it. You may not have heard the name Chris Kohler before, but this guy is genuinely, in my opinion, one of the best living gaming journalists. This book is basically the complete history of the dawn of video games. I mean, he straight up got exclusive access to all sorts of the origin people of the game industry. It is an incredible piece of work. From page to page, it's not just historical names and dates. He actually talks about how they played these games, how they were made, and talks to people like Shigeru Miyamoto about what he was thinking when he invented Link. This is incredible. Well, after he wrote this book, obviously he got a lot of money with sales, but eventually he had to get a job. So he started trying to get little writing gigs here and there at gaming websites. And they barely pay this guy squat. This is what I think one of the big issues about all these gaming websites is they want to make sure that the voice you're hearing is of the publication. If I'm reading Nintendo Power Magazine, which obviously is out of print now, but if I'm reading that, I want to be thinking about the fact that I'm reading Nintendo Power. I don't want to think about the single voice at the bottom of the page. It's all supposed to be part of this unified vision. And gamers don't really like that anymore. We like the personal connection. If you're watching my videos, there's a good chance you think of me as a buddy, and I'm totally cool with that. I make this stuff and talk to you like we're longtime friends, because I'm telling you about the stuff that means the most to me, the stuff that made me who I am. Well, when you're reading stuff from a magazine or from a gaming publication, a lot of times they purposely try to remove that element. They try and make it as cold and clean as possible, which is good, but not really engaging. They try and find the most talented people who can do the best work for the lowest fee, which is not really a thing you see very much. Which brings us to number two, lack of focus. Since they're trying to get people who will work for the cheapest amount possible, this basically ends up meaning that you get a lot of freelancers. Or if you get full-time employees, you try and get as many as possible, that way you can throw out as many different kinds of speciality as possible. You have an anime expert, you have a movie expert, you've got 5 people who write about Game of Thrones. Because of it, your gaming website gets more and more broken down. It confuses the audience a lot of times. If I'm subscribed to IGN, I'm hoping to get, well, some pretty legit reviews. Somebody just dropped something in my house or maybe died. I'm hoping to get some really in-depth analysis and some first cut trailers. What I'm not really expecting is for 18 analysis clips about the Ninjago Lego movie. The thing is, though, those videos and those articles do pay the bills. People laugh when a website makes an article called "How to Turn on Your PlayStation 4" because that seems so obvious. But so many hundreds of millions of people are going to end up Googling that they will make hundreds of thousands of dollars off that article. It's a battle for clicks. Which really brings me to the number one reason that I think that these websites are failing and YouTubers are taking them over is motivation. They don't quite have that hunger and drive that we have. They're these mega conglomerates a lot of times, with hundreds and hundreds of employees, people operating cameras, editors, sound technicians, along with the writers, people on talent, the on-camera talent, all those people who each have their own unique job, but together it becomes white noise. It's this blur of names that we can no longer connect with. In the modern era, people want to find that one creator that they trust. I think one of the perfect examples of what I think is the new age of YouTube is Spawnwave. This guy, whose real name is John, he's a good buddy of mine, is killing it. This guy gets like 1.3, 1.5 million views a month just sitting on camera a lot of times and talking about the news and doing his own unique podcast. That guy is making a ton of money, but more importantly than that, if you really look at the numbers, he is getting about half the views of Gamespot. The mega corporation Gamespot, which I think is owned by like ABC, he's getting half the views they are, and he's one guy in the basement of his house. The way he's able to absolutely hammer them on views is because you can trust him. He's one man with one voice. When you see him talk about a game like Doom on Nintendo Switch, you can understand his background with technology, you understand where he's coming from, and so because of it, you can relate to it. You can break it down and judge just on that single opinion whether or not you want to subscribe, whether or not you want to watch more videos, whether or not you want to continue with him on this journey as a consumer of his product. I can go to his channel almost every morning and he has this show called Newswave where he talks about the biggest topics that happened the previous night. It's such an easy concept and going to it, it builds up a habit. You end up kind of relying on these content creators. You trust them, you relate to them, you understand what they're trying to get at. And so because of it, if they say something's good or bad, you get where it's coming from. Even if you end up disagreeing, you still know, okay, DreamcastGuy or Spawnwave thought that this was a bad product, whereas I think it's amazing. Therefore, that I know going forward, this particular thing is something we probably won't agree on, but that's fine. But if you're going to something like IGN, they have all these roundtable discussions where there'll be like 3 people saying that Sonic is dead and is just this absolute tire fire of a series now, where other people are saying, no, this is the renaissance of Sonic and 2D is coming back in a big way. All of these voices, though, it's a cacophony. Each person has their own opinion and their own voice, and each person is just all talking at once, and each person is supposed to be the voice of IGN. It washes out. So many of these people I can't even remember the names of. Like, Max Scoville is awesome, he's a great guy, but what is he going to do? What is he going to do when that website goes under? Is he going to try and go to another website? Is he going to try and build his own audience and try and be his own thing again as an independent YouTuber? It's such a weird era where we see a splintering of the big stuff. There's a term I like called surrendering the old guard, meaning the people who used to do everything are now being replaced by people who are younger, hungrier, and willing to do what the big guys can't. I love stuff like Retro Gaming Magazine and some of the stuff that Escapist used to do. But now, they're just gone. The things we once knew are being replaced, and that's probably good overall. What's kind of funny to me personally is, just a couple years ago, I actually tried to get a job at these websites. Polygon, Kotaku, and also IGN. Each of them were hiring different positions. One was going to be a guy who writes like basically the news debriefings. I tried to get that job. They said I wasn't good enough. I tried to get a job as the indie reviewer at Polygon, where basically the really tiny Steam games that they don't have time to cover, I was going to do that. Unfortunately, I'm not good enough for that either. And it was weird that at this time, I'd already had millions of views on YouTube. I already had, I think, 22,000 subscribers. My plan, though, was to try and get a job at one of these big websites. That way, I could be doing that, getting a little bit of a paycheck, because they basically were promising to pay me $500 per review, which is not a ton, but that's definitely enough to, like, help with my bills. So it was weird to have these people on Twitter who are saying like, man, DreamcastGuy, like your content is so good and you keep improving and it's so great. And then seeing these other people who seem so like bored and lifeless and clean. And then I go, hey, let me like try this out. And they're like, no, sorry, you suck. And it really made me wake up to the idea that YouTube is the next generation, or whatever replaces YouTube. We're in an era now where people want to find that person that they can be friends with, who can tell them what's good and what's bad. And sometimes that is really for the best. It's good to find a trusted source rather than just a bunch of voices in a room who are telling you what's worth actually trying. That's just my opinion though, and obviously I am a little bit biased. I'm a full-time YouTuber, this pays all my bills talking about video games, so I want this business to succeed. What do you think though? Let me know your comments down below, and tell me a gaming website that's maybe passed away that you enjoyed, or tell me a gaming website that you probably want to go away. Tell me in the comments down below. I'm actually very excited to see what you have to say. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. You know, I took this weekend off work just to kind of relax and party with my friends for a birthday, and I was playing some Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, replaying this one while I was like just relaxing. Wow, this is seriously good. If you have not played this game, download a ROM of it, play it any way you can, because man, it is good and very colorful. Oh, hi. I'm just working on the next video. If you want to see what it is, go ahead and click this button and you can subscribe. Also, if you click these video links, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. Now I'm just going to sit here for a minute and wait for you to subscribe. Oh, I guess I could put on these giant glasses. I literally found these on a roller coaster.